my strafing pass on the crop duster. Lovely. Hello everybody and welcome to HobbyKing.com. My name is Stuart and I'm here on a somewhat chilly spring morning to give you an official flight review of the new ARF to hit all warehouses at HobbyKing with spare parts. It's the 1900mm VQ Agwagon. Now at 1900mm or thereabouts, it's a good size, but it does break down very easily for transport. We'll cover a little bit more on that in just a second. As a subject, it's one that I actually personally really like, the Cessna Agwagon. It's a crop duster in real life, but in a model, it actually makes a really nice sports scale model, and you'll see that when we're flying in just a few minutes. Overall, as an ARF, very good quality for the price especially. Beautiful finish on this. This is all pre-applied covering, self-adhesive pre-applied covering that comes out the box. You probably need, if we're talking honestly, probably like 5 evenings of building to get this model assembled, and it's got options in terms of power system. You can run electric, you can run nitro, or you can run gas. There is a adapter included for the electric motor if you want to use that one, or you can fabricate your own as I have on this, and there's also an engine mount included for gas and electric beam mounted engines. I'm running a 6S pack on this one. This is a 6S setup and I've got a Nanotech 5000. This model does need some nose weight, so you want the heaviest 5000 pack you can get. This and the heavy duty are pretty much the heaviest we have, and actually at the front of this model, as you can see from some footage here, I have had to add some lead weight. That weight equates to about 250 grams of weight. That's including the ESC, which is a 60 amp that I've got mounted forward of the firewall, and the receiver battery mounted forward of the firewall on the motor cage that I provided. So it does need some additional weight, and I think that's probably a hang up that, from the fact that it was designed for nitro before it was used for electric, and nitro motors tend to be a bit heavier. That being said, even with that dead weight of 250 grams, it still flies really nicely, as you'll see soon. The model itself, yes, it takes maybe 5 evenings to put together if you take your time as I have. There are some things I wanted to change, and if I take the canopy hatch off, but whilst I'm doing that, I'll just talk about the canopy hatch. You can see really nicely detailed. Comes with the pilot pre-installed, comes with a quite nice detailed cockpit and dash, and it's very nicely made too. It's retained, by the way, with some little tongues at the front, and then you've got some bolts at the back that retain the canopy hatch. So we've got the canopy hatch off. What you can see here, first of all, that's my electric setup. So I've got my servos for the rudder. Some boiler races over there. Really burning rubber. Yeah. So you can see that I've got my rudder servo and my elevator servo, and just a very small FR Sky 6-channel receiver in there. But the reason I wanted to take this off as well, I wanted to show a few modifications I've done. So across here on this former, there was some wood going across this opening. Great if you're running with a fuel tank, that's not a problem. But with the battery, and here is again the battery that I'm using, I found the wood that was across there made it a little bit difficult to get my battery in. I was hitting my hand, and you know, it was a little bit uncomfortable. So I did cut that away. However, on this former here, I added some spruce because I found that this is a point that I was picking up the model a lot, and that spruce that you can see is cutaway footage that we've got now just helps reinforce that area there. But with these front formers trimmed down a bit, I'm now able to slide in my battery really nicely. And I've just got Velcro holding that on, push that down, and that's not going anywhere. Speaking of battery areas, see what I mean? This Velcro, this HobbyKing Velcro is really tough. Take that out now. One additional thing that I did do, I added an extra piece of plywood on top of the battery tray area, just to make that area a bit stronger, because it's quite a bit of weight in the battery. There is a battery tray mechanism provided. It was designed with good intention, but I actually felt that it didn't work very well for me, a little bit impractical, so I just went ahead and used the old-fashioned Velcro trick because it works really well. One tip I want to give you, and it's not just for VQ models, it's for any ARF actually. The first thing you should do when you get this model and any ARF is get some thin CA and run through the entire airframe, every joint you can get to, and run some CA over every joint you have access to, because that will just help ensure, it's just extra insurance basically. It will help ensure that all those glue joints have got some glue in, and that makes the airframe much stronger and gives it a lot more longevity. Whilst we've got the hatch open, we're going to talk about servos. Now in here, you may be thinking, why have I got tracks that are servos? Well, these are standard size servos. They may have originally been intended for cars, but they are standard size. They have the same power output. They're actually very, very good servos. So if you're in the situation like I was recently, where you was on our site, and we didn't have any standard size aeroplane servos, guess what? These standard size car servos work just as well. They're on the rudder and elevator, and then if I flip her over here, on the wing, you can see I've got standard size high torque Bluebird servos, both on the ailerons and inside here under the hatch for the flaps. Now, one other point I will make, with the hatches, they are made from the same lite-ply as the rest of the airframe. It's advised to put some thin CA, soak the exposed wooden side of those with thin CA, just to make those a little stiffer, because the servos do mount directly to those hatches. Now, one other thing I did do, in addition to the box, is how it comes out the kit. How it comes out the kit is that the undercarriage here is just natural aluminium. I went ahead and sprayed that gloss white because I think it just gives it a little bit of finesse, and it's very, very easy to do. Next thing I want to talk about, underneath this cowl, I've said how I've tried to move all the weight forward, so I've got my ESC under there, I think it's a 60 amp on there, and I've got my nickel metal hydride battery that powers all the servos and electronics right on the motor mount. The motor mount itself is something that I had in the drawer, so I've used that. There is a different one provided with the kit. You can use that as you wish. And electronics setup wise on the motor, I've got an NTM prop drive 5060, so 50-60, 380 kV, and on the 6S pack I'm rocking that on a 17x10. It's quite a torquey setup, so when I take off, I'm giving it quite a bit of opposite rudder when I apply power, and we'll talk about that when I fly it. But it gives it really, really nice performance, and I'm really happy with that. So with that, there's nothing really much left to say about the model other than to take it out there and fly. It's a little bit overcast, it's a little bit windy, it's definitely cold, but you'll see the model performs really, really well, and we'll take it through its paces. I think that's about it now. We'll take it out there, and we'll see you in a second for the flight. So, when I was over there, I said I was going to tell you a little bit about how the model goes together for transport. I forgot to do that, so now we're going to show you that footage. But essentially, the wing panels, they're two parts, so they're separate, and you've got a wing joining spar, and then inside you've got, I think they're M4 bolts. And very simply, you just slide the wing panels on, connect your leads, and bolt on the wing with the supplied M4 bolts. So it goes together really, really nicely. It takes about 5 minutes to assemble at the field, and wow, that sun's really shining now. And it transports very easily too. I can actually fit this fuselage in the front seat of the car and have my kid in the back, which is great. Now I'm also running the Radio Master radio. This is the TX16. Really, really enjoying this. I've got a little picture of the Agwagon on there now, and as with previous models, we'll try and get a version of this model memory onto the website underneath the web copy for this, if you want to fly with my kind of settings and flying style. It's not so crazy in terms of setup. Just to give you an example, if I bring this around here, if you can see the control surfaces now, this is my low rate on ailerons, and this is my high rate elevator. That is low rate, and that is high, and then rudder, that is low rate, and that is high. I'm only using high rate on the elevator and the rudder when I'm taxiing, just to give me more authority on the ground. Pretty much in the air, for standard sports flying, I am using just low rates throughout. And we've also got the flaps. As you can see there, that's mid. Is that picking up okay for you?
Yeah, that's good.
That is full. See if we can bring that around a bit. How's that? Okay, so that's full. That's as much deflection as I can get with this ARF. That's mid, and that is obviously closed. It is a crop duster. It does have flaps in real life, and as much as possible I like to fly with the flaps, especially when I'm cruising low. But we'll get into that right now when we do the flight review for the 1900mm VQ Agwagon from HobbyKing. Let's go. And do no flaps to take off now. I'm in low rates and everything. We're good on audio? Everything good?
It's good.
Alright, here we go, taking off. Feeding the power. Got a lot of torque with this, so I give it a bit of right as I feed in the power. Then ease on the elevator. And then up she goes. Yeah, I've still got to trim a little bit. See how it dropped a little to the left there? That's purely the drag of that onboard camera. So I'll get it up and level. And trim. Okay, still a little bit. How's that looking now?
Beautiful.
Too much trim actually there. I can bring it round. This is all low rates. Do a fast pass first. Ready?
Ready.
Full power pass. Lovely. You can really get your crop dusting done in a short order of time with that speed. Nice stall turn off the top now. I'm going to come just with a little bit of power this way. This is no flaps. That camera's giving me a little bit of adverse drag. I do prefer flying without the camera. This is the first time flying it with that onboard. It is better without the onboard. If I give any advice, don't fly with an onboard camera. It kind of spoils it. So what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to land, take it off, and show you that stall again. How we're looking on camera.
Very nice.
Okay, I'm on mid flaps. A little bit of speed up. Easy on the elevator. Ease into it. A bit faster. A little bit of bounce. But the gear is quite solid, so it takes it. What I'm quickly going to do, taxi back, take the camera off, and then we'll go again. Okay, I've done myself a favour. I've taken that camera off. It was just adding too much adverse yaw. Wasn't as enjoyable as it had been previously. So let's give you a true flight review of the Agwagon now. All right, we're going to go back through some of the stuff. Like I take off, and we're taking off. I'm doing mid flaps this time. Just adjust my trim. Mid flap takeoff this time. Ready? Hold on a bit of elevator. Be ready on the right rudder. That torque will begin. That's better. And then I'm going to go straight up. Lovely power. That's 6S 17 by 10. Alright, now let's see how my trim is. Right, let me show you again another nice low mid-flap pass. Oh, it's much better in turns now. Look at that. Much more harmonized. This is mid-flap, about a quarter throttle. Nice crop dusting pass, and then up we go again. I'm going to still turn off the top there and do a full power pass. Ready?
Ready?
Full power now. And then bank away to the right. All right, now what I want to show you again is the stall into wind. Okay, so I'm full up elevator in a moment. And there's the stall. So it will drop a wing, we'll drop the wing a little, but on a Balsa model this size, that's something you can kind of expect. But if you've got a little experience under your belt, it really wouldn't be a problem. We did the rolls, we did the loops, done the stall. Well, it's a crop duster, so let's do some crop dusting. So I've got mid flaps now. I'm going to try and get a nice straight run down the field. How's that looking on camera?
Beautiful.
Okay, here it comes. A little bit more power. That's what crop dusters do. And then I notice they bank away hard like that. And then we'll come around, go around to the right here. I've still got mid flaps on just to slow it down a little, especially in downwind, which I'm going to be now. Low pass. So this is mid flaps again. A little bit of power. It's an Agwagon. That's pretty much what it should be doing for scale. But of course, it's a sports model, so we can take it up. We can go in high rates and do some silliness. Oh, I just disarmed it. Armed. I really need to move that disarm switch. Another fast pass. A little bit of opposite rudder. That's my strafing pass on a crop duster. Doesn't matter, it's all part of the fun. Also, what you can see now, that red and white really sticking out nicely, even in this grey sky. Gonna loop here, full power loop. Carries around that really, really nicely. I like to bang the flaps on when I come out of that, just to slow me down on the exit. I'm gonna bring it a little closer. This is full flaps now. I'm gonna swing it around to the left. I'm gonna use rudder in the turn here, especially with those full flaps. Flip the power as well, and we'll do a low full flat banked pass now with a little bit of opposite rudder. How's that looking?
Very nice.
Let's do a little inverted flight, see how my CG is. So I'm going to roll over. Yeah, just a touch of down.
Nice.
That's about half throttle. That's holding really, really nice. But you've got enough power to what we call in English bunt out of that. There we go. power off now. Let's show you it power off. So this is completely power off, feeding in a little bit of elevator. I'll do a touch and go because it's got quite a sturdy undercarriage. For the touch and go, I'm not going to give it any flaps. I will do on the landing. It's quite stiff, the undercarriage, so you do need to try and grease it in. Let's see if I can do that. It's going to maintain quite a bit of speed, especially with no wind. Let's see now. I want to avoid the bounce, it's going a bit fast. That's okay, that's okay. A little bit of one wheel there. See how it kicked a little to the left? That's because I didn't apply enough rudder. But it does have quite a bit of torque with this setup. Alright, so now we're going to catch it on the flaps, mid-flaps now. I'll cruise past, then I'll bring it in for a landing. And then come around to the left. Nice crop dusty spray. Do you want another low pass or you're good for the landing?
Can you give me a full flap pass?
Full flat pass, alright.
Give it as slow as you can do.
So I'm in full flaps now, low rates on everything. Bleed the speed off there, and then if I get a little bit low, I'm just gonna give it a bit more power, because with flaps you want to give a little more power, and those flaps increase the drag and your speed will actually decrease a bit. So that's full flaps.
Nice.
Low power, about just over a quarter throttle. I can power out of that again. I love doing these hammerheads off the top. And put flaps on there to slow it down on the exit, and now apply power. And now I'm going to bring it for the landing. I'm actually going to keep the flaps on just to keep my forward speed down. No discernible pitch change with flaps, which is really, really nice. Sign of a well harmonized model. Here I come in for the landing. Keep a bit more altitude. I'm going to go full flaps now. Let the nose naturally sink, and then I'll apply a little bit more power as I come into the flare so I don't stall it and I have more authority. And then a bit of a rolling landing, but I can walk away with that. I think that's a rather good landing.
Very nice.
All right. So apologies, I did take off the onboard because for whatever reason on this airframe it was having quite an adverse effect. But as you can see, it's now flying much, much better. And actually I think the battery died on the onboard camera, so there wouldn't have been much of a perspective anyway. Taxi that around now. That's what I shouldn't have done in flight. It's always good to have a safety button on your throttle, but try not to do it in flight. I'm going to come around this side. That is disarmed. I haven't got my cell checker on me, but I can tell you on this 5,000 pack I get a good 8-minute flying time. So that's a really, really nice return on your investment for flight times on this electric setup. I think it flies very, very well. It's a lovely rendition of the Agwagon, I think, and I hope you guys agree. It's got nice finish, it's got some nice features, and with a little bit of extra attention, like spraying the undercarriage and making a few modifications inside as I showed you, you've got a model that will last you a very, very long time and look good too. I think if I were I think what I'll do now, I'll probably put some bigger wheels on it. There's not much give in the undercarriage as it is, so some softer big wheels would be helpful. And I think that's about it. All in all, I think it's a great performing model. It flies very, very nicely. It does stall a little bit, probably more so than your average foamy model. So this is definitely for builders and pilots with some experience, but if you have that experience you'll be rewarded with a great looking and flying model. So check it out on our website now, full link underneath this video, not only to the product but to some of the components I've used too. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave your comments below the video. We read them all, good and bad, and we appreciate them all. Like and subscribe, follow us on other social platforms, and I'll see you again at some point soon for another flight review from HobbyKing.